What's up, everybody? Back for another beautiful week of NFL football. It's going to be tough to have a better and more exciting Sunday than what happened in week 10, but we're going to cross our fingers and hope. I'm sure see what you're on the edge of your seat for that Bills Vikings game, but even the Packers Cowboys game too. Monday Night Football is good stuff. So good week in terms of watching sports. Definitely thought the Bears were going to have this one, but I knew when they missed that extra point that I said the Bears are going to lose this game by one. Great pick on our live over that 48.5. That was too easy. We looked at it. We said it was too easy. It seemed too good to be true. Wasn't.
I love
And
it.
then the Bills there, they were up 17 in the fourth quarter, man. 17 points. They blew it. Josh Allen blew it himself, and he knows it too. But he doesn't have his stuff right now. I don't know what's going on with him. But hoping for another good week of betting in week 11. So we're going to start out with the Raiders. Tough loss on the road against the Colts. They're hosting the Broncos, who both these teams really can't get anything going all season. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, I mean, so we saw this matchup already earlier in the season, and we were on the Raiders at home in that one. They pulled it out. Uh, but both of these teams have just been really disappointing this year. Pretty much everybody was making a case for any of those AFC West teams to make the playoffs, but
Yeah.
really something had to give. Somebody wasn't going to live up to the expectations. And it just happened to be these two teams, um, each for different reasons. But I do think out of both of these two teams we have on the paper here, I think the Broncos defense just really is like the one X factor between these
Yeah.
two. And it's the one thing they can really hang their hats on that'll show up each and every game. And I don't think the Raiders, while they have a better offensive unit, I don't they're just so inconsistent. McDaniels might be the worst coach ever. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this one. What about you, Rod?
It's funny that you mentioned, and I'm glad you mentioned McDaniel because we talked about these two teams haven't lived up to the expectations, especially the Broncos this season. I think a lot of it's poor coaching. These are two first-year head coaches that I don't think any of them, either one of them, is cut out to be a head coach. I would have personally fired. I think Hack is doing a much worse job because I think they have so much more talent. Um, on the Broncos roster. I think I saw that the Broncos score 18 points, just 18 points. They're like they would have been like in the regular time, they would be like 7-8 wins then now. Like this, they have Russell Wilson. Just put up points and you're gonna win, and they can't do it. Um, this is one of those times we had the Raiders winning in Las Vegas when they played Denver, and we said it's just one of those games the Raiders are going to win. This is one of those games the Broncos are just going to win. Again, the biggest X factor at either side of the ball for either team is his defense, especially secondary. We talk about every week, and they look good every week. And they played really tough last week, but the offense just does not do enough at all. I mean, I know the Raiders are a really good running team. They're going to try to get it going. The Broncos just show that they could, really limit probably the hardest running back in the league to limit in Derrick Henry when they played against the Titans. This team is capable of beating anybody if they just put up points. Luckily, the Raiders have a bottom 10 defense in this league that should give the Broncos a little bit of breathing room to put up enough to win this game. I really like the Broncos minus 2.5 here for all those reasons. But that being said, if whoever loses this game, they should fire their head coach immediately, especially if it's the Broncos that lose this game. They should fire their coach. I don't understand how, with Russell Wilson, with guys like Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Javonte Williams, like they have so much talent that everyone's been talking about it, and they cannot do anything with them. And this is Hackett, who's the offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, comes in. They're getting him, they're hiring him for his offensive mind, not his defensive prowess, and he can't do a single thing. If they lose this game, he's fired. I don't know how you don't make that move, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Broncos here 2.5, basically betting on Nathaniel Hackett's head coaching career right here. Moving on, Cowboys, tough loss against the Packers, but something that I did predict, at least to be a closer game than it was. It's always hard to go into Lambeau against the reeling Rodgers. He's going to step up at some point against the Vikings, who also really stepped up in Buffalo against the Bills team that I thought would kind of stop the losing skid. But that Justin Jefferson catch was probably the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. In terms of difficulty, game significance, everything. 4th and 18, it was strength. It was amazing. Are you surprised at all to see the Cowboys here favored?
Wait, yeah. No, oh, wait, no, that's right. Yeah.
No,
I,
I'm saying,
I,
what do you think?
I mean, I definitely am a little bit surprised, but um, I did see your pick on this one, and I was actually leaning the same way. So this would have been
Good.
one of my ads to the card. But but yeah, I mean, last week you did see the Vikings beat the Bills, and that's kind of their everybody like starts believing in this team type of game. But I hate to say it, but they still are getting lucky. Like that fumble touchdown
Mm-hmm.
late in the
Mm-hmm.
game. I mean, obviously changed the outcome, but the Vikings are a good team. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Cowboys also coming off a loss. They get like they're going to be amped up after that tough loss that they really should have pulled out. They should have won that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
And on top of that, just kind of looking at the matchup here, like Kirk Cousins struggled last week. Yes, like he still threw for a lot of yards, but he got sacked 4 times, threw 2 picks, and Dallas is the only team in the NFL with a better pass rush than the Bills,
Yep.
according to PFF.
I'm glad you said it because I had that one dialed up.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm expecting a lot of the same. Like I think Kirk's gonna run into some mistakes, just being less mobile like he is, and just I don't know, a couple picks against his Dallas team. If Dak can play a good game, I really like their odds. And on top of that, this is a 325 game.
I
So
was gonna say that
Kirk,
too.
Kirk, Kirk might not be what he
I
normally is.
was gonna say that too. I've been all over this one. One, again, we talk about the Vikings. They have now the best record in football, tied with the Eagles. Cowboys coming off a loss, and it's in Minnesota. All signs to me say if you're just a rational person and you're just thinking about that, the Vikings should be favored at least by a point here. They're not. That I think a lot of people, a lot of the public is going to be all over the Vikings plus money, which is why I like the Cowboys even more. Everything we said about the Bills last week, and they're going to put a lot of pressure with only rushing 4 guys, make Kirk Cousins uncomfortable, who's historically bad against pressure, still applies here, if not even more so. As again you said, Cowboys are the only team that have a better pass rushing grade. Obviously, it's easy to see why when you have Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence on both sides of the football, really giving you nowhere to go. This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but like the Cowboys for me, if they can figure it out, if Dak can step it up just a little bit, I would not be surprised if they made the Super Bowl. I think they're a really good team. But the thing they need is consistency out of Dak Prescott. They have two great running backs, or they're great in tandem, in the aggregate. CeeDee Lamb's a monster receiver. Dalton Schultz is a good tight end in this system, and they have a great defense with the pass rush. And when you have a good pass rush, you can, use that as a band-aid for some mistakes in your secondary too. It's a really all-around good team. I love the Cowboys here. And for the season and this game, again, I just think the Vikings they were due for a loss against the Bills and they pulled it out. They're on upset alert. Just like the Eagles were against the Commanders. They're on upset alert. They're getting lucky. Ish. They're a good team. Don't get me wrong. I'm impressed with the Vikings, and the win against the Bills showed it wasn't straight up a fluke. But Josh Allen gave that game away in the fourth quarter too, and that's just not what Josh Allen or this Bills team does. But Vikings were on life support that whole game and won in miraculous fashion. But I don't think they're gonna get bailed out this week like this. Again, trap line two for the Cowboys. Good pass rush. I love the spot here for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm all over it.
Then we got a divisional matchup here. Always, scary in just divisional games in general. You never know what direction they're going to go, but I usually like to lean towards two things: home team in a close game here, and that might preface our pick here. But the Bengals here taking on the Steelers, coming off a win against the Saints. It looked not terrible. Najee Harris almost eclipsed 100 yards. He looked
Yep.
better. But that's all you need is you just need to step in the right direction for him
Right.
because he's such a good talent that has not been living up to anybody's expectations, including my own, and drafting him like my 7th overall pick in fantasy too. So that's been hurting. But regardless, Bengals here lost to the Steelers in week 1. Now they go into Pittsburgh. TJ Watt's back. What do you think?
Yeah. So first, just picking up on your Najee Harris point. Yeah, he finally got going last week. Averaged, I want to say, 5 yards a carry. Just really moving the ball for the first time all year here. And that's the Achilles heel of this Bengals defense. We saw it with the Browns, but the Bengals just cannot stop the run. They're bottom half against the run. I think,
Bottom
especially
10,
with
yeah.
especially with last week's success, the Steelers just keep that going. Just keep feeding Najee.
You'd hope
But
so.
as you also mentioned, TJ Watt's back. Definitely saw that impact against the Saints, only giving up 10 points there. He's that kind of player like Myles Garrett, how you say, he just changes the entire defense. But he really is a one-man pass rush. Like that team, that him back on that defense brings them from a bottom half defense to a top 10, arguably.
Yeah,
Um,
no, he makes so
having him
like
back in the game.
he makes so much of his single presence alone shows up everywhere. Even if he's not getting sacks in the quarterback, he's putting pressure on him, making them get off their spot, and then pushing the quarterback to guys like Cam Hayward who get so much success getting sacks from interior D linemen, or he just hurries the throw and just makes the quarterback throw something just a little bit more inaccurately. He stops people in the run game. He sets the edge in the run game. He just does everything right, and he makes such a big difference. And he's just the emotional leader of this team too. His presence cannot be understated. I cut you off there. Let you keep going, but it's just having him back is huge for this team and this franchise. I love it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I watched the Bengals a lot. I was big on them last year in the playoff run. Watched them a lot early in this season, but the one thing always present because Joe Burrow does hold on to the ball a little bit longer than he needs to most plays, but
Mm-hmm.
like a good pass rush is his kryptonite. Throwing TJ Watt, I think he's going to struggle to get going in this game. And it's a 4.5 points. You're getting 4.5 at home, divisional matchup. I'm expecting a close game here.
I am too.
I know the
Always.
Steelers haven't looked great, but they're 3-6. They still have a lot to play for. Their next 5 games, their opponents have a combined record 7.5 under 500, including that Colts tie. But they win this one, they could run the table real quick and be right back in this.
Hey, I mean, the biggest thing they might be playing for this season is this Mike Tomlin's record of
Exactly.
never losing season, and I guarantee they know that and they're playing for it. Also, like again, they played week one. The Steelers won that one in OT. A big reason for that was the Bengals offensive line, not really being able to block guys like TJ Watt and the rest of these guys. I will say the Bengals offensive line since like week 3 onwards has steadily gotten better. That's not saying much. They used to be one of, if not the worst pass blocking units in the league. Now they are the 7th worst. So improvement, but not much. But that is definitely going to be a factor in this game with TJ Watt, who's been sidelined for a while. He's healthy. He's fresh. He's feeling good after last week. Expected him to have a big game or at least make a big impact because everything he does, like I said, it's not always on the stat sheet, but he just has his fingerprints on every single play. It's beautiful to watch. I was not on this originally, but you added this one. And I really liked it. The Steelers plus 4.5 here at home, divisional opponent. Steelers always play divisional opponent stuff. It doesn't matter who's on their roster. They always do it. I love this pick. When will they learn? Titans here as 3-point dogs. I was a little bit surprised to see the Packers being 3-point favorites at home, even against the Titans, who playoff team. But the Packers definitely seem to at least step in the right direction against the Cowboys. It's a big moral win, and they prove that again, if you can beat the Cowboys, who I think is one of the most complete, really good teams, at least in the NFC, if not all football. That's a very big morale win for this team, getting Christian Watson at wide receiver more integrated as a rookie. They like what I saw, but again, they got down late against the Cowboys and had a good fourth quarter comeback, but you can't do that against really disciplined teams, and that's something that the Titans are. I'll let you take away what your thoughts on this game are.
Yeah, I mean, so the spread did move. And this one opened up at about even. So definitely moved quite a bit since the Packers pulled that one out last night. But I know who you're on in this one, so I think I'm going to steal a couple of your points here because I do agree with you.
Take them all.
But the Packers, they do have a good defense, but their strengths in their secondary. They are 25th in the league on their rush defense. Obviously, that's where the Titans are going to just dominate this game is on the ground. They do have Tannehill back too. Big plus over Malik Willis. Well, he didn't go off for anything last week. He played very solid against that tough Broncos defense.
Yeah, he does what he always does. He doesn't win the games. He's not going to win it for you, but he's not going to lose it for you. You know,
Right.
he
And that's
deserves to
all
win.
you need when
And
you
that's all.
back.
Hey, they keep winning with them. That's all they ever want out of him.
Yeah, but just on top of that, so on the other side of things, the Titans are third in rush defense, and while the Packers have really been relying heavily on this run offense. I know everybody wants to keep talking about Rodgers, but Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, that's really been this team's strength is on the offensive end, and that's been keeping them afloat and really still relevant in this season. Is that according to PFF, that second ranked run offense, but they're not going to get those easy like early yard or early down yardage, make it manageable for Rodgers. It's going to be tough for this game. The Titans are very stout in the front seven,
Yeah, they
led
are.
by
I didn't
Jeffrey
realize.
Simmons. I like them a lot at the +3, but I'll let you take it here from here.
Yeah, no, I like the way the Titans match them up here to keep a close game. And +3s. I like +3, but we're going to tease it to make it a little bit higher. I like everything about the Titans. They always play close games. Vrabel again, one of my favorite coaches in the league. He always game plans well. Learned from the best with Belichick during his time in New England, and he always gives his team a chance. He's gonna play the mismatches. He's gonna exploit whatever weakness and holes in your team, and he's gonna figure out how to do it. In this case, the weakness of the Packers plays the Titans' biggest strength, and it's just running the ball with Derrick Henry. And like you said, the the Packers have one of the best rushing offenses in the league, but I didn't realize the Titans have the third best rush defense. Like that's huge. And that's just going to make this game close. I think the Packers are going to win it, and that's why you see a lot of people moving towards the Packers on this line. I think it's more because they need to. This is Rodgers did his thing, his post game quote. He's happy, he's smiling, and he's got something up his sleeve. And so I think the Packers are going to keep their momentum going simply because they have to. But I like the Titans here to keep this game within one score. Maybe it's going to end up being +10. I like that a lot because Vrabel, even when he loses in close games. And against two teams who are very low total here. So you give me low
Yeah,
total tees.
of course.
Both these teams want to run the ball all game long, drain clock, keep it close, probably exchanging field goals. I like the Titans to keep it within single digits here.
Yeah, not sure what the weather will be, but late late in this or at least halfway through the season in Lambeau could favor the run game.
Exactly. And the final game we're going to talk about here, Browns, 9.5 point dogs, open at 8.5, facing the Bills here. That are really trying to bounce back here because you just don't see the Bills drop two in a row, especially not three in a row when they're playing the games on their home turf here. I'll let you lead off with what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I want to lead off with a question. So,
Mhm.
like everybody's saying, the Bills are the best team in the NFL. I know you've been all over that. Is that still how you think of this team? Do you think of them any differently after these last couple
That's a
losses?
good question. I think talent wise, they're the best team in the league, but it's just like the Denver Broncos. I don't care if you have that much talent. It doesn't always mean you are the best team. I think the best team is the Chiefs, and I don't think that's the craziest thing to say. Just the pedigree, the degree of excellence that is expected out of them, and just the constant stepping up to those expectations that they always do, is what makes the Chiefs the best. I think it's gonna be really exciting to see the Bills in the playoffs because I think they're gonna get their groove back. They're facing injuries. They're gonna get Tre'Davious White back at quarterback. Josh Allen clearly is not himself with his elbow injury and just the way he's been playing. But I think this team needs some adversity too. It's good to have some challenges and get down yourself. So I'm excited to see what the Bills do. I'm not out of them. I think you can't say the Chiefs aren't the best right now, but that doesn't mean that the Bills can't take that title back. And I
And
think
I think that's a very fair answer. Like, I mean, yeah, the Bills on paper are just even when you bring defense into it too, you could argue this team has the best offense and defense in the league. Um,
yeah,
they definitely haven't played like themselves the last couple weeks here. The one thing I do think the Bills are due for a win after back-to-back losses now. You especially with how tough that division's getting with the Dolphins heading back into first. You got the Jets in there. Every team they don't have a
even
team
the
with a winning
Patriots
record
are
in their division
Yeah,
right
even
now.
the Patriots are 5-4, and
So yeah,
Patriots play
there's
the
definitely gonna
Jets.
be some
So
urgency.
so either So the Patriots play the Jets this week. If the Jets win and the Bills lose, then the Bills are the third in the division. And if the Patriots win and the Bills lose, then there's three teams in the division with 6 wins. Like this is a pretty close to a must-win game for the Bills, especially at home. The sense of urgency is definitely there. It's all going to be on what Josh Allen's performance and his stats with that elbow. He's going to play no matter what, but how much is that actually affecting him? I'm not sure. But I really like the spot for the Bills to bounce back here and win the game. I like the tease opportunity here a lot because I really think they're going to win the game. And I think that against the quarterback like Brissett, I think he's going to struggle a lot against, again, same thing I think we said about the Bills last week. Pressure with four guys, a lot of guys back in coverage, really stout run defense to, go against the two-headed monster, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And just think that this Bills defense can be too much for a quarterback of Brissett's caliber. I think that's the big difference here. Anything you disagree with or anything you want to add?
No, I'm with you. The one thing that was a little interesting to me was the Bills' rush defense isn't as great as I thought it was, but so that made me a little bit scared of the matchup. But given that this is a tease opportunity and how badly the Bills need to win here, I do think it's a great number to tease.
Yeah,
Sitting at like the 9.5 or really trying to play the spread, I don't think that might be the best move, but I do think they should win this game for sure.
yeah, and I hopped on this one at 8.5, which was great to get to the 2.5. So I'm going to buy even extra points to get that 2.5 line, but the 8.5 line was so juicy. I think just more on. Let's forget what we just saw the last couple of weeks in the Bills. This is a must-win game against a
Right.
bad quarterback. I think it's just every time. Josh Allen's got to step up, and he's certainly shown that he can do in his career. He's an MVP caliber quarterback. This is his time to prove it. So Broncos 2.5 here. I almost want the lock to be the Cowboys. I like honestly all of our straight bets a lot. I think they all are really great picks that go against, I think, popular picks and conventional wisdom here based on what we've seen the last few times. I think we got a good read in the Broncos, though. So I like that as the lock. Cowboys 1.5 on the road here against the Vikings. I think they match up well with the pass rush. I think the Vikings are due for an upset, just like, again, the Eagles were. Steelers 4.5 points at home against the divisional opponent is disrespectful. Like, take that every time. I don't care if it's Kyle Seawood playing quarterback for him. Take the points at home against divisional opponents. Tom, I got to get back on track here. And then teaser, instead of a 6-point teaser like we normally do, I'm doing 7 points to get some key numbers here. This one, honestly, probably the only thing that really scares me is a Titans 10. Just because Rodgers, if he's feeling himself, he's going to start slinging touchdowns to Watson. You never know. But this Bills 2.5 thing, I would be shocked this one doesn't win. But I like this teaser a lot too. So I think we're going to come back here, see what I think we got a chance for a clean sweep here. This is a good card.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling really good about this one too. I was with you on the Cowboys before you even were,
Yep.
or before I knew you were.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling, yeah,
I like it. I'm
pretty
not
good about everything on here.
Steelers pick is awesome. I really like you picked that one on there. So we'll move on to the games that we're not betting, but still have leans on. We'll tell you what we think. Commanders here on the road against the Texans. Texans are now tied with the Bears for the worst defensive grade. It used to be sole possession in Houston. Now Texans are only tied for the worst defense in the league. I think this Commanders game on Monday night was a lot more, and we talked about it. It was a lot more of, hey, this is Taylor Heineke, primetime game, divisional opponent. They're not going to get embarrassed on national television. So I think the public's going to keep hammering the Commanders here, but I think that's too much recency bias. That being said, if you can get them like the line open at -2.5, -3 on the road here, it's probably still a good pick. But don't get caught up in the Commanders hype just from this win against the Eagles, because there's a lot of emotion that plays a role in football. They had a lot of fumbles forcing against the Eagles. That's not typical in these games. So they still barely pull out the win. Don't read too much into this Commanders win, as some of you might be doing.
Yeah, I mean, this one kind of hurts because before we recorded in my notes, I like the Commanders a lot at -2.5. The line isn't back out yet since after that Monday night game, but I think it's gonna be bigger than that even.
Yeah,
I
probably.
thought
I'm
they
sure.
looked pretty impressive to be honest. I'm a big fan of Heineke.
Oh,
We know that from last year. Anybody watching from last year,
yep.
it's exciting to see them do good. I don't know why I'm so happy for them,
I
but they're
love it.
5. They're back in the playoff race. The first team out of a wild card spot right now. But I think Chase Young's return back is definitely underrated too, not getting talked about enough. But that's
Mhm.
just because of this organization in general. But they're a solid football team right now. I think they should definitely easily win this game.
Honestly, yeah, this line's probably going to jump. Is again, it opened at 2.5. If you got that 2.5 line, you're sitting pretty. I'm sure it's going to keep moving in their favor. Something that's huge for the Commanders here, and their biggest advantage over any team this season has been their front four pass rush. And I'm looking at the Texans here, and they have a bottom 10 pass block game, so that will definitely show its face in this game. I think I don't know when this line's going to move to. I do think people are going to overreact. If you can get in this line before the peak overreaction, that's great. But if it gets past like 6.5, then definitely I do
Yeah,
not.
it already might be too late. Who knows? We'll see.
We'll see what happens here. I'm intrigued to see where that line gets to. I was intrigued by this line. I was not sure what it was going to be after two upset losses here. Rams 3.5 point dogs against the Saints in New Orleans here. I'm going to keep these quicker since they're not on a card here, but I think if I had to pick a side here, look at how low this total is. If I had to pick a side here, I like the Saints because 3.5 and a win, obviously, because this Rams offense and their identity is solely on Cooper Kupp this season. Even last year, I mean, he was the MVP, the Super Bowl for a reason because that's the only guy that could get production once Odell went down. This team, I don't believe, knows how to play with Cooper Kupp. There's no great Matthew Stafford hasn't looked good this year. Allen Robinson hasn't been getting looks. They don't have a great run game. I don't know how this offense is going to really function, at least initially, without Cooper Kupp. I'm sure they'll figure it out. This is the first week without him, and they're going to have some growing pains trying to see how football works without Cooper Kupp. And it's a great situation for the Saints to take advantage of. And I like them here this week.
Yeah, I mean that was the point I was going for too. I mean between Stafford and Cup, that's because I don't know what Stafford's status is for this one, but he didn't play against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
But him and Cup right there, that connection is like probably 75% of your offense. Like
At
I don't
least, at
know what
least
the
in the
Rams are
passing
gonna do
game,
this
yes,
game.
it's crazy how much they depend on
Even
those.
with running, with how horrible they are on their run offense.
Yeah, and they can give the ball on jet sweeps to Cup too. Like he is everything. He is Sean McVay does not have enough plays in the playbook for Cooper Cup. So I'm glad to see it the same way. I mean, the Rams don't have a lot of offense. The Saints at least sometimes do. They didn't last week. The Rams have a good defense, but sometimes the Saints just click. And it's usually when they get Taysom Hill involved in some crazy plays. But some you never know these guys. I think it's a good spot for the Saints to bounce back against the reeling Rams team.
Post Drew Brees era has been so weird for the Saints. I feel like
It
they have
has
no
been.
identity since.
Yeah, they really haven't. And I've always been a big fan of him, but I also was a big fan of Sean Payton. I'm sad that he's gone. Bears here, dude. I'm pissed. I can't believe that game. It's so hard being a Bears fan. But Justin Fields a beast. Sixth leading rusher in the NFL out of everybody. Sixth leading rusher. Playing the Falcons here. -3 the Falcons. I personally, I think it's a great spot to put the Falcons. I never am good at betting. I've been bad this season betting on the Bears, and so I'm not going to put in the card for that reason. But the Bears defense is terrible, and the Falcons love to run the football, and they're successful with it with Algier, or whatever you say his last name, and Patterson. I think 3 is a little disrespectful to the Falcons here, who aren't great by any means, but they have competed this year, and that's something that the Bears don't always do. I think on the road, especially, like I don't think the Bears are an even team with the Falcons. I think Justin Fields provides a huge spark for this team, but just their defense, like I can't get over how bad the Bears defense is, especially in the run game.
Yeah. I think I think like an interesting play here is because you definitely have a juice to over at 49.5. Just between like how potent the Bears offense has been lately. And you definitely have the Falcons with one of the higher rated offenses in the league. But these are like the last couple of games, they've been running the ball a lot. I kind of like the under here.
I
Just
okay, good.
just
I
for,
do too. I like the
just
other
for
too.
The Bears defense to finally put together a half decent game. I don't think Fields is going to keep playing at his record setting. I mean he could, but like
He very well
just
might,
with
dude.
any
He
like
might.
it's almost impossible to replicate the numbers he's been putting up. Um, let alone that pick six last week. Uh, so
No.
there's definitely just just been some big plays helping the overs lately with the Bears. I think just like playing the regression like we've done pretty well with this year. I like the
Yeah,
under.
we have done that. And also, like Falcons, they're 4-6. We've talked about it. They competed. They are the 11th best team in pro football overall. Granted, the Bears are the 30th best team. Like I think the disparity between these two teams is pretty drastic. In terms of fun, like Justin Fields, highlight player. He's going to do things no one else can do. But in terms of fundamental good football teams, the Falcons are definitely. This spread is implying that they're even teams, and that makes no sense from what we've seen with the Bears this year or the Falcons. I think it's a great spot. And I like the under too because, again, we talk about we are the early adopters of the Bears overs. People are going to jump onto that, and again, mean regression there too. So, I like that here. Patriots. This was a 3.5 point line, and it's now 3. And I think you might even get this to 2.5 as the week goes on here. I'll say this: I like the Jets here. And I don't normally say that with Zach Wilson playing against Bill Belichick, but the reason being the Jets have the #1 overall rated defense in football. I love what Robert Saleh is doing with their team. Their cornerbacks, DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, are absolutely shut down. If they can stop the run game of the Patriots, they're going to win the game. It's all about that and Zach Wilson, how many turnovers he can commit, because he looked like an idiot last time he played them. But I think he's going to learn and see what he can do. But what are your thoughts here? Because I can see this going both ways. I can definitely see why you liked it, why someone could like the Patriots here. I'm ready for the Jets to take it over from the Patriots. It's almost more of a hopeful lean, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to go with the Patriots, but I mean, just trying to be completely unbiased. I do think the Jets are a better football team right now, for sure. These teams are pretty similar, actually,
Yeah.
but I think the Jets are a better football team. They have a better defense on paper. I don't see how the Patriots will be able to pass the ball at all, like you mentioned. Um, just with those corners, and
It's
then
going to be, can, the Patriots defense make Zach Wilson, play out of his mind terribly and throw like 4 picks again. And if they can stay away from doing that and play, he's not going to play mistake-free football, but if he can play mistake minimal football, I like the Jets here with their good defense. Patriots got good defense too, but the Jets they're clicking right now. I love it.
yeah, not a confident enough pick for me, but yeah, I do think I'd side with the Jets here. Just I don't know that they're a solid football team. Like
Yeah,
I mean, Zach Wilson's hard to bet on, but everybody else,
exactly. I'm surprised here with this line -3 at home for the Giants. Again, spread implying even matchup here. Giants are a 2-loss football team. The Lions can barely beat the Bears, and they're on the road. And then I looked at Pro Football Focus, and the Giants are actually ranked lower than the Lions, which is crazy. But the Giants, every game they've won has been by one score, 8 points or less. So I'm not going to touch this game, but I will note one thing just anecdotally. The Lions always seem to figure out how to blow close games. And this season, the Giants always seem to grind out these tough, close games. So weighing that in mind with this line is a complete trap game line, I'm completely staying away from it. But something tells me the Lions are going to win this game. And there's no reason why except the spread is so fishy.
yeah, no, I mean I'm with it. I think the Lions win this one outright, and Brian Dable is probably going to win Coach of the Year if they keep it up because
It's
he's
between
literally.
Dable. Okay, go ahead.
I was just say like this dude is Houdini. Like with Pro Football Focus has the Giants as the 5th worst offense and the 6th worst defense in the NFL, and they're 7-2. How
Yeah,
does he do it?
he's a big part of it. I'm loving it. It's between him, Sirianni, and O'Connell right now. And I think with the Eagles' loss, O'Connell might have just taken the lead with that Bills win.
My one key point on that last
Oh,
matchup.
sorry.
Two of
Yep.
the worst secondaries in the league. I think the Lions are just better equipped to take advantage of that matchup.
Yeah, I like that too. It's a good point. I like how we're both in line of Lions winning this one. All right, got about 5 minutes left. Sleep. A few games here. Eagles. I think it's a really good opportunity for them to come back against the win. I think it wasn't a fluke loss, but they committed a lot of uncharacteristic turnovers. They don't do that this game. They're going to beat the Colts team that has a very bad offensive line, match up with a really good Eagles pass rush. Matt Ryan, very immobile at quarterback. I think you're going to see a lot of that for a big Eagles comeback win after this last loss.
Oh, I think they'll come back and win, but I like the Colts +9 at home. I think I also think I know the commentators mentioned it when I was watching the game, saying, I mean, and when you look at the paper, the Eagles are. It looks like their front seven's their strength. They're not as great against the run as, or at least of late, as they have been.
Yeah, no.
The Commanders, while they didn't break off a ton of big runs, they steadily moved the ball down the field, just especially ground and pound to just keep it into manageable situations. And that's a similar game to how the Colts are going to play this one,
Hmm.
especially with
That's a good point.
Jeff Saturday, their high school coach, going to pound it with Jonathan Taylor all game. I think it's a decent matchup for them, especially +9 at home.
Yeah,
Seems
that's a
like
good
games
take.
might be close
I respect that take. I could see John Taylor having a big game and keeping it close, but I think just everything else is in the lopsided in the Eagles' favor. We'll
situation
see.
wise.
Yeah. I'm really excited to watch this one, even though there's a lot of injuries here on the Chargers side. Chiefs -7, going to San Diego, LA now. But the one thing I want to say is when they played on Thursday Night Football in Kansas City, the Chargers had the Chiefs on the ropes, and then Herbert threw a pick six and hurt his ribs, and that game was over. But again, not having as much talent here, but the Chargers are going to play the Chiefs tough. If they play them that tough in Kansas City, then they're going to play them really tough at home. I don't think the Chargers have enough talent on offense right now with all the injuries to win the game, but I certainly think they can keep it within 7 points.
Yeah. Yeah, and just a
So,
note, the Chargers are +7 here.
yeah,
But I mean that's a good number for at home. But at the same time, you're just telling me how when I asked you my question about the Bills, the Chiefs are the best team in football right now.
they don't make mistakes.
Chargers
They're a complete team. They got it all going on.
Chargers are good, but they're hurt. So it's
Yeah.
tough
Yeah.
matchup.
And then the last game here is we got about 3 minutes, Lee. Niners, Monday Night Football, 8-point favorites right here. I love this picture because it makes Kyler Murray look so small. Uh, Kyler Murray might not play this game. That's what you're going to have to look at. It's Monday Night Football, gets an extra day to recover. If he's playing, this line will not be -8. He's day-to-day with a hamstring injury. It's going to be a game time decision. I bet he plays, but it's hard to really judge this game without knowing if Kyler Murray's playing. What do you think, though? Anything? I'm not going to add too much to it. It's based on time and the question marks around quarterback.
I just think the Cardinals suck.
They suck.
I think they're terrible.
Talk about also. I said the Cowboys. I could see them making Super Bowl. Niners are the same way. I think I could see them winning it. I have not winning Super Bowl. I could see them winning the NFC. I don't think they have enough to beat a lot of these AFC teams that's stacked, but I do think they have potential to be standing at the top of the NFC at the end of like January.
Yeah, no, I mean Niners is one of the most talented teams of football. Yeah, they're going to start winning more of these games. They're 5-4, but they're much better than that even.
I'm really excited to see how Shanahan uses Debo and McCaffrey that offense. You saw McCaffrey not getting as many touches as people thought he would against that game, but that's kind of what they do. Shanahan's going to keep Aaron toes and give a lot of guys touches. If they can get Kittle, McCaffrey, and Debo all getting going in the same game, I don't know how you beat these guys.
Unstoppable.
Can't wait to see it. And if he can execute that, then they're in a good spot. Well, here's the last game. Ravens here, favored by a ton. Ravens playing Baker Mayfield. They're going to win it. I'm leaving it at that. Prize picks. Use our pros picks to get $100 up to $100 match from them. One last review before we let you go. He didn't change this, so we're going to skip it. Great video, Sliwa. You got a minute left. You want to have any hot take, bold pick as we close out the video? I'd be shocked if more than 50 people listen to this.
Nah, I mean I'm just still all over the Seahawks, man. Or actually on top of that, Commanders. Commanders are gonna make the
Baby.
playoffs.
That'd be
They're
sweet.
gonna
And
steal the Giants spot.
don't forget out there when I stupidly said the Jets are going to make the playoffs. It looks like that might be true. Let's see what happens. I think they're going to win the Patriots, beat Patriots this week, and take one step closer to making the playoffs. Let's find out in week 11, boys. Go get them.